Good morning. Nice to see everyone this morning, and those of you here and online. I am Reverend Peter Farriday, UUCPA's interim minister for the next 2 years. My pronouns are he, him, and whatever your sexual orientation, gender identity, ethnicity, family makeup, etc., you are more than welcome here at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Palo Alto. May you find nourishment and inspiration for your journey. We express our mutual respect by supporting each other's decisions about masking, distancing, and other health measures. Bay Area COVID rates are finally down a bit, but the flu and RSV are up. So here we go. If you would like a mask today, please raise your hand and our ushers will find you and offer you a mask. If you are new with us, we use these caring and sharing cards to share concerns or joys that are on our hearts every Sunday. If you'd like to fill one out, you can still do that. They are available for future reference as you come in, but also here at the table in this corner, they're available now, and you still have time to do a card if you'd like to while we go through a few pre-service announcements, most of which are found in your order of service. Among those, you will find that the late UUCPA member Richard Castle's celebration of life is planned for December 7th at 2 p.m. He was a big part of this community for many years, and I know many of you will want to honor him then. Also, on behalf of the entire congregation, I would like to thank all those who made last evening's wonderful auction a reality. It's a huge job, and again, they accomplished it with style and grace and fun, and many folks contributed, but I do need to especially thank Lisa Hellmans, Castor Fu, and Heather Chen, and Edie Keating for leading the food prep crew. Thank you all, and thank you. Thank you to everyone involved. UUCPA and choir member Richard Height will now inform us of another wonderful reality to come. Richard?
Thank you, Peter. I'm going to say something that you don't usually hear in church and that you would never hear in a high school classroom, which is, I want you to take out your phone. And the reason I want you to take out your phone is I want you to go to your calendar. I'm serious now. I want you to go to your calendar and I want you to put a date that so that you remember to come to the UUCPA choir concert on Saturday, December 6th at 4 p.m. And if you come, you're going to enjoy it. We're going to have some great music, including the Noel Masterworks, which are these lovely arrangements that combine classical music with Christmas carols. We're going to do Gustav Holst's Christmas Day. We're going to do a really rousing version of Jingle Bells. You're going to like the music. Bruce has invited 2 soloists to join us, Allison Kamhai, soprano, and Michael Kuo, baritone. And so you're going to enjoy everything. Of course, Veronica is going to be there. Where would we be without Veronica, right? And at the end of this, we're going to have you join with us in singing Christmas carols. So you're going to have a lot of fun, and there'll be cookies after that. So if you want to come to this concert, and I know you do because it's on your calendar now, then you should get tickets from any choir member, which you can get from for $20. They're $30 at the door, so it behooves you to get them in advance. But I encourage you to come, and we promise that you will enjoy it. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Again, that's December 6th at 4 p.m. And if you just want to make a short note on your phone, it would be choir and cookies. So, yeah. Focusing back on today for a moment, Spiritual Adventures in Parenting Group meets that's for parents of children birth through high school, meets at 11:45 today in the fireside room, which is right there. And childcare will be provided. Also, the Empty Nest Parenting Group also meets at 11:45 in the library, which is in the back of the office found across the courtyard. And this week and next, after the service, you can get an early start on your holiday shopping. You can get a whole bag full of great used books at the bookstore in the lobby. Books make great holiday gifts, so get your Santa's sack full early for just $5 for a bag full of great books. Last but not least, UUCPA has long helped to support various community organizations that align with UU values. Our justice partner this month is the Interfaith Movement for Human Integrity, which works to make the criminal justice system more just and the immigration system fairer and more humane. We're grateful that Kelly Younger is here to tell us about their valuable work. Kelly? I usually check in with our justice partner beforehand, and I did not do so today. I don't see Kelly. So I will just say there is more information about the Interfaith Movement for Human Integrity on the website, and that we'll come to this later, but our offering will be dedicated to them and donated to them today. So I now invite you to close your eyes or lower your eyes and center yourself in your chair. Take a couple of deep breaths. Let your forehead relax, your shoulders drop, your abdomen soften. Let any mental chatter subside. Breathe again into your belly. And as mindfulness practice advises, be totally present to this moment. We gather, our different paths entwined, to deepen our spiritual lives, nourishing connection, learning from each other, caring for each other, tending to our world. As we follow the sound of the bell into silence, we allow ourselves to arrive here fully. Welcome. Each Sunday, Unitarian Universalist congregations light a chalice, the symbol of our UU faith. Today's words are adapted from reading number 434 in our gray hymnal. And our chalice lighter today is Stasha Scott Rossen. Sacred Spirit of our radically interconnected existence and our deeply intertwined lives, help us to remember here our highest aspirations. May we know once again that we are not isolated beings, but related in mystery and miracle to the universe, to the communion of all life, and to each other. In kindling our Unitarian Universalist chalice flame, we invoke and invite into this space the divine light of wisdom, the sacred fire of justice and compassion, and dedicate ourselves anew to bringing our fullest gifts of love and service to the altar of humanity. Thank you, Stasha. Now please rise in body or in spirit and sing out on hymn number 1010, We Give Thanks. The lyrics are on screen and in the online order of service and in the gray hymnal. Again, please sing out, and clapping and movement are highly encouraged.
Hello. I give thanks for this precious day. It's because it's fall. It's coming up mushrooms instead of roses. Just thank everyone for such a wonderful auction last night. That what gives me a lot of joy. And so speaking of joy, I have a little book of joy to share. So if you're young or young at heart and you'd like to sit on the floor with me, please come. We're gonna tell a story today about two friends who found joy with one another. Yeah, come on up. Come on up. Some of the older folks might know who these people are. So this book is called The Little Book of Joy, and it is by His Holiness the Dalai Lama and Desmond Tutu, Archbishop Desmond Tutu. So, once one of us grew up in a little house. And one of us grew up in a big house. Our houses were on the opposite side of the world. Look how far away they were from each other. Oh, often we were sad. Often we were lonely. Both of us wanted a friend. Sometimes the other kids wouldn't let us play, or they were very, very far away. We wondered if we would always be sad and lonely. If you just focus on what is making you sad, then sadness is all that you see. But if you look around like he's looking down, and you will see joy everywhere. You see him looking down? But when we sat still and breathed in the quiet, we noticed something beautiful. We noticed something beautiful. Ooh, I skipped a page. When we would look up, joy felt like sun tickling our feet. And sometimes joy feels like when you're feeling really silly and you want to just dance around. Next slide. And the soft and snuggly feeling of being cozy, all wrapped up in a bed. Even when you're caught in the rain, when your joy is washed away, it's waiting for you at the bottom of the puddle. He likes to splash in puddles. Even if you slam the door and your joy can't get in, it's just on the other side, waiting in a loving hug. And even when there's a loud noise in the night and your joy gets scared away, it comes right back in the light of that silver moon. Joy is the bouncy, bubbly feeling of meeting a good friend. And once you let joy in, like magic, your heart always has room for more. So, look for joy all around you. Sing it to the sky. When we discover the more joy we share, the more joy we have. And the more joy we have, the more joy we can share. So, send it in a letter, write it in a song, play it on a drum, and sing it to the sky so even the llamas can hear. It will travel up, up, up in the air, across the ocean, and someone will hear it. And share it with someone else. And as it spreads from person to person to person, the world will fill with joy. And so this is the real people that this is based on. And this is based on, they met, the Dalai Lama and Desmond Tutu met in 2015. And so this is the book that they wrote about their meeting. So thank you for listening to my story. I will invite all my friends to come with me to religious education for our service project. So if you are going to come with me, please stand up and we'll meet in the lobby. Just straight down the aisle. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Kat. The mushroom lady today. Speaking of joy, I just get such joy. I got this last night at the auction too. There were a couple of helpers, young helpers, and just to see little ones scampering and moving and just their faces, and it's just so joyful. So, about joy, or in this case, we'll call it happiness. Our reading today is abridged from the book, The Art of Happiness, by His Holiness the Dalai Lama and psychiatrist Howard C. Cutler. The first speaker here is the Dalai Lama. I believe it is the very purpose of our life to seek happiness. That is clear. Whether one believes in religion or not, whether one believes in this religion or that religion, we are all seeking something better in life. So I think the very motion of our life is towards happiness. Dr. Howard Cutler continues, with these words, spoken before a large audience in Arizona, the Dalai Lama cut to the heart of his message. But his claim that the purpose of life was happiness raised a question in my mind. Later, when we were alone, I asked, "Are you happy?" "Yes," he said. He paused, then added, "Yes, definitely." There was a quiet sincerity in his voice that left no doubt. But is happiness a reasonable goal for most of us? I asked, is it really possible? Yes, I believe that happiness can be achieved through training the mind. The concept of true happiness has in the West always seemed ill-defined, elusive, ungraspable. Even the word happy is derived from the Icelandic word hap, H-A-P-P, meaning luck or chance. To my Western mind, says Dr. Cutler, it didn't seem the sort of thing that one could develop or sustain simply by training the mind. When I raised that objection, the Dalai Lama was quick to explain. When I say training the mind, in this context, I'm not referring to mind merely as one's cognitive ability or intellect. Rather, I'm using the term in the sense of the Tibetan word sem, S-E-M, which has a much broader meaning, closer to psyche or spirit. It includes intellect and feeling, heart and mind. By bringing about a certain inner discipline, we can undergo a transformation of our attitude, our entire outlook, and approach to living. Generally speaking, the Dalai Lama continued, one begins by identifying those factors which lead to happiness and those factors which lead to suffering. Having done this, one then sets about gradually eliminating those factors which lead to suffering and cultivating those which lead to happiness. That is the way. A bit further on, Howard Cutler reflects on the Dalai Lama's opening words, the purpose of our life is to seek happiness. But isn't a life based on seeking personal happiness by nature self-centered, even self-indulgent? Not necessarily. In fact, survey after survey has shown that it is unhappy people who tend to be the most self-focused and are often socially withdrawn, brooding, and even antagonistic. Happy people, in contrast, are generally found to be more sociable, flexible, and creative, and are able to tolerate life's daily frustrations more easily than unhappy people. And more important, they are found to be more loving and forgiving than unhappy people. We begin then, says Cutler, with the basic premise that the purpose of our life is to seek happiness. We now further honor all that was shared and anything in our hearts left unsaid by lifting these up in prayerful song. Please rise in body or in spirit and sing number 123, Spirit of Life. The lyrics are on screen and in the online order of service. Thank you, thank you. I also want to thank specifically our guest conductor. Bruce Holstead is in Colombia right at this point. Jose, thank you very much for being here with us. Thank you. In our reading, we heard that pursuing happiness is far from self-indulgent, and in fact, that generally happy people are, quote, found to be more loving and forgiving than unhappy people. So for the moment, let's accept psychiatrist Howard Cutler and the Dalai Lama's premise. The purpose of our life is to seek happiness. Of course, there's no one definition of what makes folks happy. Many aphorisms speak to this. One person's meat is another person's poison. Different strokes for different folks, etc. So it might serve us to consciously decide and explore what's likely to bring us happiness and then shape our lives accordingly. About this, Dr. Martin Seligman, a professor of psychology at the University of Pennsylvania and director of the Penn Positive Psychology Center, offers some guidance. He speaks of how for more than 70 years the field of psychology has operated from a disease model. From this it achieved two main victories. One, more than a dozen disorders once considered untreatable are now treatable. And two, along the way, a science developed, one able to measure and to some degree account for the causes of problems and to help manage them. This made many extremely miserable or troubled people less so, and of course, that's wonderful. But, says Dr. Seligman, the discipline often largely forgot about relatively untroubled people, so he developed what's now known as positive psychology, which says that the field should be just as concerned with people's strengths as their weaknesses, just as interested in building up the best things in life as in repairing the worst, just as involved with making the lives of more typical people happier and more fulfilling. The notion was powerful, and apparently the time was ripe, because in 1998, Dr. Seligman was elected president of the American Psychological Association by the largest margin ever. He tells of how he had studied extremely miserable people to find out how they differ from others, but now started looking at extremely happy people to find those differences. And he says the happiest people aren't more religious, they're not wealthier, not more attractive or in better shape, don't have more good events and fewer bad events happen to them, but they do have one key commonality. They are deeply bonded socially. For instance, most have a romantic partnership and a group of close friends. However, it's important to note that these factors are correlational, not necessarily causal. That is, the happiest people had partnerships and friends, but we can't say that those things caused them to be happier. He's talking about happiness here in the typical sense, like being cheerful, jovial, buoyant, but he also says, quote, "That's not nearly enough." And Seligman and his colleagues began to look at therapeutic interventions over the centuries, as he put it, from the Buddha to Tony Robbins. About 120 techniques were proposed that supposedly make people happy. He studied these and found some were indeed effective in providing people with greater lasting happiness, and he summed these up in his first book on the subject, Learned Optimism. Here's a passage. Happiness is a scientifically unwieldy notion, but there are three different forms of it you can pursue. For the pleasant life, you aim to have as much positive emotion as possible and learn the skills to amplify positive emotion. For the engaged life, you identify your highest strengths and talents and recraft your life to use them as much as you can in work, love, friendship, parenting, and leisure. For the meaningful life, you use your highest strengths and talents to belong to and serve something you believe is larger than the self. So we're going to look at what Martin Seligman says about this trio, but first, one quick note. At times in our lives, we all have good reason to feel sad or heavy-hearted or frustrated and the like. So being happy doesn't mean ignoring or negating such feelings, nor closing down our empathy for others who are suffering. It means we acknowledge all these and more, which can often include unearthing and examining old hurts that can still haunt and hamper us. But we don't let these dominate our current emotional state, and thus block the benefits of happiness for ourselves and others. Even when trying to help right the world's many wrongs, mythologist Joseph Campbell wisely counsels us to participate joyfully in the sorrows of the world. So that said, let's check out more of what positive psychologist Martin Seligman says about each of these three happy lives. Again, the pleasant life, the engaged life, and the meaningful life. In the pleasant life, people pursue as much positive experience and emotion as possible. Sounds good, but it has two main limitations. One's positive emotional baseline is largely inborn, and applying external techniques can increase it only so much. And two, we rapidly become habituated to stimuli, however pleasurable. For example, think of discovering a new song or a new something that you really like. It's great, and it uplifts you. And then most times, we eventually tire of it, at least to some degree. And there's no real way around this ebbing of pleasure's initial intensity. It's just part of the human experience. Dr. Seligman's second happy life is the engaged life. Here our satisfactions are found in our career, parenting, relationship, leisure, etc. And common to these is entering a state of flow. It's been described elsewhere as, quote, a kind of intense focus and crisp sense of clarity where you forget yourself, lose track of time, and feel like you're part of something larger. Distinct from pleasure, which is highly sensory, in flow states we don't really sense anything, but become one with whatever we're engaged in. We can measure what skills are most likely to bring us into this state by identifying what Dr. Seligman terms our signature strengths, and then we shape our work, play, and relationships to enter this state as much as possible. To recap, the pleasant life comes from positive emotion, the engaged life from positive absorption. The final happy life is the meaningful life, aka the altruistic life. This starts where the engaged life does, knowing which our highest signature strengths are. But Seligman says then we use these to, quote, belong to and in the service of something larger than you are. Having identified these three lives, Martin Seligman then posed his overarching research question. To what extent does the pursuit of the pleasant life, the engaged life, and the meaningful life contribute to overall life satisfaction? The results show that the meaningful life is strongest, and the engaged life is also strong. But what surprised me is that the pleasant life, the one that pursues lots of positive emotions through experiences, which also happens to be what advertising is constantly selling us as the kind of life to be pursued and envied, yielded almost no long-term satisfaction. Dr. Seligman tells us that pleasure, or positive emotions, only brings satisfaction when meaning and engagement are already strong. Then he says, it's the whipped cream and the cherry. To test this, Seligman did an experiment where he had some people do something fun, and then something altruistic, and then reflect on the after effects. The results showed that after doing something fun, satisfaction drops quickly and stays flat. But when people do something to help someone or something else, the sense of satisfaction lasts and lasts. So, social science now confirms the spiritual maxim that it really is better to give than receive. Not only because it helps others, but because giving of ourselves to something beyond ourselves brings us deeper and more lasting happiness. Social science also confirms something else about happiness, which is that along with our individual psychology, a crucial factor is social context, the environments in which our psychologies and lives develop and exist. One examination of this is a National Geographic magazine cover story titled The World's Happiest Places. In it, author Dan Buettner reports that the researchers who publish the World Happiness Report each year found that about 3/4 of human happiness is driven by social and cultural factors. And he writes here abridged by me, these factors don't materialize by chance. They are intimately related to a country's government and its cultural values. The happiest places incubate happiness for their people. In many cases, people thrive because the places where they live give them an invisible lift, constantly nudging them into behaviors that favor long-term well-being, unquote. This is why in his book, Happiness, Lessons from a New Science, and elsewhere, co-editor of that World Happiness Report, Richard Layard, a British economist and co-director of the Community Wellbeing Program at the London School of Economics, argues that the best public policies are those targeted at producing the most well-being for each government dollar spent. Considering this, a question came to mind. How might the USA look and feel different if its governmental leaders truly determined to give every citizen an invisible lift toward long-term well-being? What if our country focused on incubating gross national happiness over gross national product, now called gross domestic product? Do you think we would see some positive changes? I do. That's why in 2012, the General Assembly of the United Nations designated March 20th as the annual International Day of Happiness, which recognizes happiness as a universal human goal and affirms the need for social and economic policies designed to help end poverty, reduce inequality, and protect our planet through environmentally sustainable development. By the way, I discovered that there's a group called Gross National Happiness USA that you could look up if you're interested. I'm not kidding. So happiness has both external and internal factors. Let's return to the internal to close via the Art of Happiness book from our reading and what the Dalai Lama means when he talks about training this Tibetan SEM, S-E-M, the heart-mind, for greater happiness. He encapsulates the essence this way, here abridged. There are many ways in which we actively contribute to our own experience of mental unrest and suffering. Although in general, mental and emotional afflictions themselves can come naturally, that is to say, stuff happens, often it is our own reinforcement of those negative emotions that makes them so much worse. We also often add to our pain and suffering by being overly sensitive, reacting to minor things, and sometimes taking things too personally. So I think that to a large extent, whether you suffer depends on how you respond to a given situation. In my experience, the Dalai Lama is spot on. Echoing the lens of consciousness concept I shared last week, our habitual internal interpretations, and many times misinterpretations, of events and of others, and our subsequent judgments and attitudes repeatedly determine our reality. Today I'll add our happiness, far more than most events themselves. Hence the Buddhist teaching, pain is inevitable, misery is optional. So let's not let our untrained heart minds rob us of our happiness. If you're troubled by something, question and check out your assumptions and conclusions. There might well be another perspective, another reality. And of course there are exceptions, but as the Dalai Lama says, most things that bother us at first aren't personal or intentional or that big a deal. And as we train our heart minds for greater clarity and happiness, let's recall that, quote, it is unhappy people who tend to be the most self-focused and are often socially withdrawn, brooding, and even antagonistic. Happy people, in contrast, are generally found to be more sociable, flexible, and creative, and are able to tolerate life's daily frustrations more easily than unhappy people. And more importantly, they are found to be more loving and forgiving. Elizabeth Gilbert affirms this in her best-selling book, Eat, Pray, Love, where she writes, here again abridged, I keep remembering a simple idea a friend once told me, that all the sorrow and trouble in the world is caused by unhappy people. And in my own life, I can see exactly where my episodes of unhappiness have brought suffering or distress, or at the very least inconvenience, to those around me. The search for contentment is, therefore, not merely a self-preserving and self-benefiting act, but also a generous gift to the world. Clearing out all your misery, she says, gets you out of the way. You cease being an obstacle, not only to yourself, but to anyone else. Thank you, Sven. Putting all of this together now, the most constructive approach seems pretty clear to me. 1, know that it's not only okay to be happy, but highly beneficial to all concerned. 2, understand that lasting happiness comes mostly from deep self-forgetting engagement and from helping others. And 3, apply that altruism as much as we can to making society the grossest national happinessist habitat it can be. Finally, let's remember that we are all finite. How do we really want to spend our lives? The Dalai Lama's co-author Howard Cutler writes, "Our days are numbered. We never know. But whether we live a day or a century, a central question always remains. What is the purpose of our life? What makes our life meaningful?" For all the reasons just discussed, again, I offer the Dalai Lama's heartfelt answer. The purpose of our lives is to seek happiness. Namaste, and blessed be. As part of Unitarian Universalism's free church tradition, this congregation is self-supporting, and thus we remain free to govern ourselves. In addition to their annual sustaining contributions, each week our members and friends may choose to give an additional gift as witness that we are and shall remain a free faith. Please recall that today's offering will be donated to Interfaith Movement for Human Integrity. You can use cash or check or the QR code or text info in the order of service. Please give generously. We are grateful for the gifts offered today and for all the gifts and blessings in our lives. And if you're visiting with us today, that's a blessing in itself and a pleasure. We extend an especially warm welcome to you, and I'd be honored to meet you when we finish, if you'd care to do that, as you are our special guest. Now please rise in body or in spirit and sing number 128 in our great hymnal, For All That Is Our Life. The lyrics are on screen and in the online order of service. As always, thanks to everyone involved in making today's service possible. Again, our guest conductor, Jose, and our worship tech team, and our guest musician, Thomas Schubotham. I also want to offer a chance for Randy Hellmans to give us one word of information about something that's happening after the service that connects to the auction last night before we extinguish our chalice.
No, more than. First of all, I am a happy person. So I won the cake that Peter auctioned off, and I want to share it with everybody. So I'm going to be out in the patio area in about 5 or 10 minutes. I am going to ask for a donation so we could double that actual amount for the cake. So I will see you out there in about 10 minutes. Thanks.
Thank you, Randy. And about that chocolate banana cake, yes, it has gluten, it has dairy. Just know that it's full of the good stuff. And if you don't care to make a donation, that's okay too. Just if you can, great. And if you, here's the thing: it's my mom's recipe, or at least a recipe that I got from her. And if you love it, thank my mom. If you don't like it, blame me. That's fine. So, our chalice extinguishing words come from Elizabeth Sell Jones. I believe we'll have a slide of those in a moment, and I invite you to say them together. And if we don't, I'll say them. That's fine. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Thank you very much again. I have to say that my mom was a classical pianist as well, and her favorite composer was Chopin. So thank you for bringing that to mind, Thomas. Now, if you're online, please unmute yourself, turn on your video, and join and touch hands virtually. Please rise in body or in spirit here, and if you're comfortable, hold the hand of your neighbors, and if you're not, that's okay. Cross your arms over your heart to show that you're connected in spirit as we say our benediction together. Go out into the world in peace. Be of good courage. Hold fast to what is good. Return no one evil for evil. Strengthen the faint-hearted. Support the weak. Help the suffering. Rejoice in beauty. Speak love with word and deed. Honor all beings. Blessed.